I feel very overwhelmed by my inner critic. It's mercilessly critical, very vulgar, and continually berates me for being weak and asking for Allah's love and ease. Please help. And mashallah, brother Amsal is a regular viewer, and look at that
Yes.
radiant
Yes.
smile.
Yeah,
Man,
I know
so
this brother. Allah bless and preserve him in khair.
so any advice or something that will help our brother and people who are in similar situations.
So the same way that you would, this is something that, in the past myself, is it can become a struggle. Um, and so I will say this is that the same way if someone were to speak to you in such a manner, you would stop them. So the same way that you interrupt that speech and say, I will, first of all, always tell yourself, I will not allow you to speak to me in a manner that I wouldn't allow someone else to speak to me. Right. And so you say to your nafs, you literally point to your like, listen, I will not allow you to speak to me in a manner that I wouldn't allow anyone else to speak to me. And and say to your nafs, but I'm being very serious. Say to your nafs, your method of speaking to me is not helpful. It's not motivating. It's not empowering. You're actually making me weaker. So you have to be quiet. Right? You need to mute. And also the dua, when we say, a lot of times we say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, but there's also the dua, Allahumma na'udhu bika min sharri nafsi. Right? Oh Allah, I seek refuge in the evil of my own self. Allahumma na'udhu bika min sharri nafsi wa min sharri kulli dabatin anta akhidun bin nasiyata. Inna rabbi ala siratal mustaqim. And so asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, from the evil of yourself and the evil of his creation, because and to be honest, we would not speak to someone else in that way. We wouldn't, hopefully, inshallah, we would understand that it's not okay to speak to another Muslim, another believer in that way. So say to yourself, I am also Muslim, I am also a believer, and you cannot speak to me in that way. That is not appropriate for you to speak to me. And so then we have to work on replacing the conversations, with replacing our self-talk with positive affirmations. And so even if a lot of times it's reprogramming the language that we've heard, or whether it's internal or external, we heard it somewhere in our life. We heard, maybe we had someone in our life that was very, very critical. And so that's the voice that sometimes plays back in our head. And so to replace that subconscious, we have to be very conscious about putting positive messages in front of us and repeating those positive messages often, right? And so I really believe in words of affirmation. A lot of dua, that actually the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us are actually words of affirmation. Even the concept of raditu billahi rabba wa bil islami dina wa bi sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam bi rasula. I am pleased with Allah as my Lord, with Islam as my deen, and with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as my prophet and messenger. That's an affirmation, right? I am affirming my faith. And so this is an example that affirmations are actually a sunnah. It's the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for us to have positive affirmations. And so put positive affirmations in front of you and repeat them often to yourself. I am a creation of Allah. I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of honor. Right? And subhanallah, and regardless of all of my, and it doesn't mean that I am not aware of my faults and my weaknesses, but Allah has still chosen me to be a person who carries the light of La ilaha illallah. And so to protect the amana of the light that Allah put in me of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to protect that amana, I have to protect it from that which attempts to blow out that light. I have to protect it from that which attempts to harm me or harm my faith. Right. And another way is, a lot of times in a gentle way, not harshly, but in a gentle way, when I feel like, oh, I'm not worthy, or I'm not worthy of this position, it really doesn't matter if I'm worthy or not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worthy for me to do this, right? Allah is worthy for me to do this action. I may not be the best. I may not be the most knowledgeable. I may not be the most capable. I may be the worst one in the room, but Allah still chose me. And so out of servitude to him, this is what I'm doing. I, out of just absolute slavehood to him. This is what he's told me. This is what you're going to do. So now I'm going to become better at that. I'm going to work on that, or I'm going to do that thing out of slavehood to him because that's the position he put me in. I don't have to be great. My Lord is great enough. My Lord is sufficient. And that's how we begin to help ourselves get out of our own way.